Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart, and this time I want to talk about Donkey Kong, because I actually think that Nintendo is starting to open the doors a little bit about the next Donkey Kong game. I think they are starting to prep something here. I actually feel like in the most recent Mario Bros. Direct where they showed off Donkey Kong, and Miyamoto took a few moments after the trailer to say a few more things about Donkey Kong and his redesign, I think this is a hint towards the future of the Donkey Kong series, which basically means, yes, another Donkey Kong game. So that's what I want to talk about today. Now, before we jump to things, let me first very briefly mention my social media. You may see a few different things here on screen. You can check that all out. It's linked in the description below. And of course, if you like what you're seeing here, you can subscribe or perhaps consider joining as a member. So I already know some of you are going to see this and be like, come on dude, it was literally just showing off Donkey Kong for the movie, nothing else. But I am going to beg to differ here. Hear me out. We already know that there is a plan for Donkey Kong that goes beyond this movie. Firstly, let's just point out that Nintendo hired Seth Rogen to play Donkey Kong. They didn't just hire any schmuck, they hired Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen is a pretty big deal when it comes down to good actors and good comedic actors. Seth Rogen is top notch in my opinion. So they are not slouching here. You could just argue, yeah, they're just trying to get an all-star lineup for the movie. That could be the case. But let's consider this. We've yet to even hear a single word of Seth Rogen from Donkey Kong yet. Which you could spin and argue, well, that just means he's not that big of a deal. No, they just haven't done it yet. And I think the reason they haven't done it is because they have their own very special particular plans for Donkey Kong. They are taking care of this franchise in the same way they've been careful about revealing information about Mario and the movie and Peach and other things. The same for Donkey Kong. Nintendo has a plan here and it goes beyond the movie. For example, officially speaking, this is public information, Nintendo's planning an expansion to their Super Nintendo world at Universal Studios. After Mario, they're doing Donkey Kong. The first expansion is Donkey Kong. Not Zelda, not Animal Crossing, not Pokemon, Donkey Kong. What does that suggest? That suggests that Nintendo has like an actual plan in place here that's meant to bring in money. So let's go back to the movie and talk about what we've seen so far about Donkey Kong, okay? So with Donkey Kong, they've created this new design for him. And Miyamoto takes the time after the trailer to come out and speak just on Donkey Kong. He's wearing his Donkey Kong shirt, 1981, the original Donkey Kong. And he talks about how this new design for Donkey Kong in the movie is the first redesign of Donkey Kong since Donkey Kong Country, which by the way came out 28 years ago, nearly 3 decades. And when he said that, I had to think about it for a moment. I was like, wait, hold on a second. Maybe it's the case that Donkey Kong isn't having as many games as they used to, but is this really the first redesign since then? And looking back on it, yeah, there may be some minor changes here and there, but in terms of an overall look, this is different. So what does that suggest? It suggests that Nintendo is pivoting, positioning Donkey Kong for a new audience, a new generation. Miyamoto also makes sure to mention that the redesign is reminiscent of his original design from the original Donkey Kong, which is meant to be more of a comical take on both his personality and design. So the reason this is super interesting in the context of a potential game is because when we go back to the initial Donkey Kong rumors, something that I actually had some information on that I was told about is that Nintendo is planning a revival of the Donkey Kong franchise. And they want to go back to its roots. They want to find the success it used to have. Now, you may think, okay, yeah, Donkey Kong was kind of a big deal back in the day, but only kind of. Well, no, hold on a second. Yes, the country games had some level of success. They were pretty good. But the big seller of Donkey Kong is actually the original Donkey Kong. This is the game where Donkey Kong was at the top of the red girders, and we had Mario at the time called Jumpman, trying to battle upwards, jumping over barrels. This was the game that became a viral sensation back in 1981 and is what led to Nintendo becoming more successful and popular in the West and eventually going on to making actual home consoles and becoming what they are today. So when we think about that rumor, when Nintendo's talking about wanting to go back to the roots of Donkey Kong back when it was a strong, powerful brand, this is what they might have meant. Now, this would obviously have to be a new take on the series because they can't just reprint the initial Donkey Kong and expect massive success. But when you take this into consideration, when you think about that, yes, they've hired Seth Rogen to play Donkey Kong in the movie, and they are expanding their park to Donkey Kong, it's clear that they're trying to make Donkey Kong more of a popular character in terms of a mainstream sense. And this would be positioning the series to be a higher selling, more profitable series. So let's go back to the movie trailer. In the movie trailer, something you may have noticed is the Donkey Kong world seems to be a little bit more fleshed out than it has been in the past. There is a scene where we see Mario, Toad, and Peach actually in a Donkey Kong kingdom. And I'm not talking about New Donk City, which is some other Mario version of New York, where there are some Donkey Kong references. I'm talking about a Kong world, kind of like the Kong Island from the Donkey Kong games. And in this Kong world, it's like an actual kingdom of Kongs, not just a few here or there, where there's an entire stadium of thousands of Kongs. And we've seen a number of Kong cameos throughout the trailer. And it seems like they're building up this world here. What is that for? Well, interestingly, when we take a look at some of the designs we've seen from the movie, they seem to be somewhat similar to the designs we've seen for the Donkey Kong expansion. So I think it's pretty clear that they want these things to connect. They want people to relate the park to the movie and the movie to the park. But it gets a little deeper because there's another rumor. We don't know if it's going to be true. Again, rumor. But it is rumored that they want to do a follow-up movie to the Mario movie, being a Donkey Kong movie. And with what we're seeing in the movie, it does seem like they're really setting it up to where they could expand in that direction. But the movies, the parks, these things are all meant to increase the popularity of Nintendo's brands and bring in more sales for software. So ultimately, this circles back to the rumor that we reported on a while back, along with a whole bunch of other people, that there is a Donkey Kong game in development. And with this redesign and us seeing Nintendo fleshing it out, and Miyamoto taking that extra time to bring up this redesign with us and asking us what we think, when you read between the lines, I think this is him saying, hey, this is the new look for Donkey Kong, and this is what we're moving forward with. I'm not saying that the new Donkey Kongs will be announced tomorrow or maybe January or February. It may still take a little while, but I think within a couple years of now, once the Donkey Kong movie comes out and the park is built on, sometime during this window, a Donkey Kong game will be announced. I wouldn't be shocked if it happens next year. Sometime next year, I feel like is a pretty decent bet, and if not, then the next. Like, the window's fairly short because within a couple years, the Donkey Kong Park expansion is supposed to open, and this movie will be out. And all of this is going to be raising that awareness of the Donkey Kong brand, which is going to really set up the next Donkey Kong game to be a real banger in terms of sales. So this appears to be Nintendo's plan, and I think we're starting to see those beginning signs of Nintendo showing the world what the next Donkey Kong is all about. But what do you guys think? Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Do you have more to add? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, everyone, this is On Just Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.